Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Tokyo Tropic Turtles Draft to Glory franchise mode here in MLB The Show 24. So, in last episode, we started up the season simulation. We are 53 and 36 so far, and it's been a very interesting season. We've had some tough weeks, probably because we've had a little bit of injury trouble with Tom Koo, who's been out for the last little while, but you can see there's been some weeks where we've only won 2 games, but we've also had some very good stretches too, where we win majority of our games. So we are still one of the best teams in the league. However, we are not the best team like we were last season, I think it was. We have currently a 596 win percentage, which I believe last year we were above 600. So it will be interesting to see if our team's able to get above that again. And obviously, I think playoffs should be an easy thing for this team to do, but how long are this team going to be a playoff team for? I hope it's going to be much longer than last year. We do have 3 powerhouse pitchers, which have been all very good so far. And then our bottom 4 and 5 haven't been as good. But you have Parker Iwamura, who obviously won the Cy Young last year. He's been great so far this year. You also have Stan Nguyen, who's on a similar pace. Not as much strikeouts as Parker Iwamura, but he does have similar ERA and similar whip. And then Kazuhito Hayashi's been absolutely yoked in this season. He's 14-0. Last year he was fantastic as well. Almost won the Cy Young as a rookie. This year he is definitely the favorite to win the Cy Young if he continues on this pace. So our pitching has been fantastic for the most part. And then also our batting has actually been relatively good too. There's been a couple of guys struggling in terms of average, but it's been a very good team result. You can see like at 279 with Yamazaki, 289 with Yokoyama, Sato's on a 311, Tom Lee's on a 318, which is fantastic. Theodore Lee at 283, Sasaki even on a 276, which is kind of a big surprise to me. But Charles Nomo has been one of the guys that's kind of struggled the most in terms of average, so obviously I'm kind of hoping that he does a little bit better in the second half. And then Vincent Seo is on a 237, so if those two guys could get their batting average above 250, that'd be fantastic. But otherwise, the rest of our roster has been very good in terms of getting balls in play and getting ourselves some offense going too. So I've been very happy with how the season's turned out so far, and I'm hoping that this draft class that we have ahead could also be pretty good. Hopefully we could get some good prospects, just in case we end up starting to lose players to free agency or retirement in the next number of years. So anyways, with that, let's get in your guys' comments now and see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll get into scouting out for one more week and getting into the, I think, what year are we in? The year 13 draft, it would be. Yeah, okay. So the first 3 comments are from Nick Buck, Barons OC. The first one says, time to dominate, let's go. He also says, Kazuhito Hayashi starting pitchers is on steroids for sure. And I would totally agree with Kazuhito Hayashi being on roids. They definitely have to at least be testing him, because him being 14-0 with an ERA below 2 and a whip below 1 is absolutely insane. You could also go back to last season. He was 17-2 with his record, so he was also very good that year too. In his quality starts, he's already got 32 quality starts, and he's started 50 games only. So more than half of his games that he started have been quality starts, which is absolutely great. His ERA, or not his ERA, his whip is already almost as good as it was last year too. So he's just on a completely different planet at the moment, and we do have him locked up long term, which is also great. So I am very happy with how he's been performing, and I think this year should be an easy Cy Young win for him. If he does get it, hopefully he can win more of them in the future and be just good for as long as possible, because he's only 26, so he definitely has at least like 10 years left of his career before maybe he starts to like drop off completely. So really liking Kazuhito Hayashi's play, and like I said, I hope that he just continues to maintain that form going forward the rest of the season, and hopefully also into the postseason too, because if he's just a regular season guy, it's not going to mean much to us. We want guys that can also win in the playoffs. And he also says, pick Ishii first. What a great start. And yeah, it has been a great start for this team. Picking Ishii is definitely something that we're going to be looking into. There is 2 starting pitchers. However, Ichiro Ishii definitely looks like the best option, because he could be a high overall, high potential guy. So we are likely going to be taking this guy if we have the opportunity to in the late first round. He also has good interest, so likely he will be joining the team unless he gets taken earlier, which honestly could happen considering we're drafting 24th overall. We also do have the 31st overall pick, and with that other pick, I'm probably going to be leaning towards taking the other starting pitcher in Charles Chan, just because there doesn't seem like a lot of good infielders and stuff like that this year. But we obviously will take some of those with our later picks if we have the opportunity to do so. So getting a couple of starting pitcher prospects, I think, is going to be a good thing for our team, just because obviously we could potentially be losing some pitchers in the next number of years just because of salary cap reasons. So obviously it's good to have a couple of them that kind of develop and hopefully get to the MLB one day if this team doesn't somehow find a way to win a World Series before they're ready. The next comment is from Dylan Burrows, who says, "We're back. Let's go. Prediction before I watch 91 wins, playoffs first in the division." So he's saying by the end of the season, we're going to hit 91 wins and be first in the division. I think first in the division should be pretty easy, considering we're already 5 games up on the Angels, 9 games up on the Astros, and then over 10 games up on the Rangers and Mariners. So I think it should be doable to win our division. 91 wins, I think, is also doable, considering we have 53 already. I think we could definitely hit 91 wins, but obviously it depends if we stay healthy in the second half of the season, because we know sometimes those injuries come in bunches, and I'm really hoping that doesn't happen with this team in the second half. Like, hopefully we continue to stay healthy and also just keep playing like we are. And the last and final comment is from Rebecca Weiss, which says, "You should move Jung to a long reliever," and I believe he already is a long reliever, if I'm not mistaken. Let's actually take a look at that. So is he a long reliever already? Yes, he is. So even though he hasn't been the best so far, he already is technically a long reliever. His ERA has been pretty bad. His WHIP has been kind of high too. Like, he definitely isn't having a fantastic season. However, his FIP is a 404. Which at least is not terrible. Like, anything above a 3, or above a 4, I should say, is kind of leaning towards bad, but he's not like 5.6, something like, remember when David Naw, those type of guys were on our team, how bad their FIP was? Well, Jung is at least doing something respectable by comparison. He is also making a lot of money, though, to do so, which is not ideal. I can't wait till his money comes off the table, because I don't know if he's going to be one of those guys I re-sign when his contract is done. So yeah, hopefully he starts to find himself a little bit, because some of our relievers definitely haven't been super good this year. But obviously they could kind of turn it around when maybe later in the season when we're go on maybe more of a tear, because maybe we're going to have a better second half of the season than our first half. You never know. Also, Parker and Stan are both up to 98 overall, which is pretty insane. Kaz is a 90. Like, our pitching depth is probably the best in the entire league, I would say, at this point. We do have the first-ranked pitching. We're 11th in contact, first in power, which is pretty awesome. It's good to see our contact number almost getting into the top 10, because that means now we're going to be good offensively in terms of driving in runs as well, not just the power game. And we're also going to have good pitching to help it out as well. Our defense and speed definitely still need some work, but at least they aren't dead last like they used to be back in the day. But anyways, let's add some players to our scouting pool here. We're probably just going to put players we've already scouted out here, just so we could get their interest a little bit higher. So we'll probably put the other starting pitcher after Ishii as number 1, just because his interest, I believe, was a little bit low. Yeah, Charles Jane only has 36% interest right now. So I am going to put his interest, or get his interest a little bit higher for that last week. Might as well, just because we're going to try and target him, especially if we somehow can't get Ishii. Obviously, he would be my first pick. So Ishii already has a pretty high interest. I'm trying to think of who else I want to put on this. Who is the other Asian after him? Who is the other Asians to add to this list? We'll probably add some other guys that we might be targeting. Like Lawrence Matsui looks okay as well. He's not going to be the most insane player in the world, but he might have a high overall to start, which is nice. So he's already got high interest too. So maybe we'll just keep him already there. That's kind of fine. Is there anybody else with like low interest right now that should get higher? Nakamura's only on 41%. So you know what? We'll get Nakamura on there. Get his interest higher, because obviously it's important to get those guys interested, so that way it's an easier time for us once we actually go to sign them, if we can draft them. We'll see if there's anybody else to add to this as well. I believe there is more that I could definitely be looking at the draft, but I don't remember who. Yamashita, 64% interest, so we don't need to put him really. Suzuki's on 62. He's already good, probably. Charles Matsui, I don't know if I would draft him, but he's only on 37. So you know what? We're going to add him as well. So those three guys will get a little bit more interest in the last week of scouting. Might as well do that just to kind of solidify things a little bit. And I think we're ready to advance to the draft. Hopefully most of those players we were looking at are in the draft class because that would get a lot nicer. So let's go through another week of action. We got one more game against Boston. So far the series is tied 1-1. And we have 3 games against Texas and 2 against Seattle. So the question is our team going to be able to win some games? Because we are on a little bit of a bad stretch as of late. Let's see what happens this week. We lose the first game against Boston, so we unfortunately lose that series. Now we have a series. Oh, okay, that's not great. It's a little bit of a short-term injury, so at least it's not too bad. But a day or two injury for Parker Iwamura. He has elbow inflammation, so that's not great considering he's our ace. But at least we have other good pitchers. We are now playing Texas, and oh no, now Yokoyama has an injury. Maybe I jinxed it. ACL sprain out 1 to 2 weeks. He's been great this season, so that might keep him out of the All-Star game, which is not ideal. But we will go auto on that as well. And now Parker is back, so he should be back into the same spot. And we need to put somebody in to replace Yokoyama, which is not great. So Yokoyama was playing second base. Can William A. Bayek play second base? He can. Okay, we're going to give a big opportunity to William A. Bayek. I could also do Taguchi, but he hasn't been as good off the bench, I'd say. So we will put William A. Bayek as the number 2 guy at the moment. It's good that at least we have him. And then for the other one, he's already in the lineup as the shortstop, so we will put in... We can't put an Oka as a second baseman. Well, I guess we'll go with Taguchi for this other one, even though he hasn't been good, just to get those youngsters some playing time. Might as well. We did lose that second game to Texas, so we're on a little bit of a downfall still as of late. We lost again against them. No on that. And we do beat Seattle 2 times. That's at least good. But we are still a little bit not doing as good as we were earlier in the season. Okay, in terms of prospects that we are interested in for the draft, let's see what we got here. So Ichiro Ishii is obviously our top interested player. I hope that we could draft him, but our scouts say he might go way earlier. MLB has him ranked at 46, so honestly don't know when he's going to go, but I hope that we could get him somehow at number 24. So there's him. We also do have the other pitcher to go to, I believe, if he is going to show up, which... Wait, where is he? There may be no way that he disappears from the draft class. Charles Chan, where the heck are you? Am I just completely blind? Yeah, I don't think I saw him at all. That's kind of weird, considering he was actually supposed to get drafted too. So he might have just withdrawn from the draft in general. Oh no, there he is, okay. He's just projected to go much later than I was anticipating. Okay, that's good. That's good. I was kind of worried about that, because if he would have disappeared from the draft, that would not have been good, especially if we don't end up getting Ishii. We want to have the next best player if possible. So we'll add also Matsui to this list. We'll also... Oh, yeah, see, Matsui was for some reason before Chan, which is interesting in ranking. Huh, alright. Wasn't expecting that. So there's 3 guys for our list, 4 guys with Nakamura. Hopefully we are able to draft an Asian with every single pick this year. If for some reason we can't, hopefully we at least get most of the ones we want. Matsui there, as there's 2 Matsuis in this draft class. Kirby Ono. I feel like this draft class might have the most Asians we've seen in a while, which is good. What else we got here? Pacheco isn't one. Maybe nobody else after that? Yeah, that might be it for Asians. There might be a couple more here. We just got to make sure. Oh, there's an Oka guy that we didn't scout it at all. We'll put him there. There's another Oka. So there's a couple Okas in this draft class, and that is it. So we do have a total of 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. That actually might be the most amount of Asians we've seen in a while. And obviously our top priorities are these 2 guys, and then afterwards I don't really know what I'm going to go with, but we'll see what ends up being in the draft class. So let's go to the draft and see if we're able to get one of the players we want at least in the first round, because that's exactly kind of what we're looking for, especially Ichiro Ishii. Something tells me he's going to go earlier than our pick, but I would really hope that we get the chance to get him, because If he's like a 60 overall at 19 and has like 94 potential, that would be absolutely great. But honestly, it depends, I guess, on the rest of the draft class, how it looks. If for some reason Ishii's off the board, Charles Chain might be our first round pick, probably, just because he could be a high overall with some solid potential. And then afterwards, I don't know what I'm going to look into next. It's probably going to be like Nakamura. Matsui could be a first round talent just because he has a high overall, but I'm not too sure if somebody else is going to take him or not. Yamashita looks also kind of intriguing, actually, because he's a high overall, maybe with a low potential. Yeah, there's some definitely interesting options with this draft class, so I think I am ready to get into this. Actually, was Jason Yamashita the one I discovered? Yeah, he was. He was not supposed to get drafted, so he's definitely super high on my list, I would say, for the fact that he has a high overall and he has a low potential probably, but he's 18 years old, so he could definitely outgrow it. He also has good contact, good defense. Like, he looks like exactly what we kind of need for a center fielder of the future. So yeah, he's likely, he could end up being maybe my pick after like Charles Chain or something like that. And just hoping that no AI team scouted out him as well. Like, our team has him ranked as 84th best, but he looks like he's going to be pretty solid. So let's start up the draft and see what ends up going before our pick. We don't pick all the way to 24th, so it's going to be a little bit of a long wait compared to the last few years, but it'll hopefully be worthwhile. So first overall, Richard White goes. He's a right fielder. Looks like he could be a very insane player because it says his overall range is 69 to 88. So he could be like literally like a 75 overall with 99 potential. Like, he should be probably an A talent. So the Padres get a really good selection probably there for the outfield. That's probably the highest right fielder I've seen in a draft class so far. Jonathan Quintana goes second overall. He's the first pitcher to go off the board, and he also looks insane based on his overall range. Like, he should be MLB ready almost out of the gate based on that. He also might not have the highest potential. Like, he could have a 78 potential and be an 85 overall, but obviously I'm hoping that he's better than that just because that would be a fantastic pick for the Phillies. So there we go at second overall. And finally at third overall, what team is next? I don't remember. Red Sox. They take Dominic Ingram, who's another starting pitcher. Also could have a good starting overall at 20 years old. So there is your top three of the draft. It'll be interesting to see how good these guys end up being. Ingram's the only one that's kind of a little bit off the board, so to speak. And now we got to wait and see if Ishii goes earlier than anticipated. Desmond Thompson, a catcher, going to the Giants fourth overall. Interesting. He wasn't projected to go to like the second round, so that might be a major reach by the Giants, but it could be worth it. Ryan Benjamin, another starting pitcher, going to the Marlins, also could be a good starting overall. Ryan Blum, another starting pitcher, going to the Mariners. Braves are on the clock. Who are they going to take at 7th overall? They are going to take Juan Del Villar, who's another catcher. So a couple catchers early in this draft. All right. What's next? The White Sox take a shortstop, Lionel Reyes. He wasn't projected to go to the second round. So there's some guys that are going a little bit off the board here. Like Juan Del Villar wasn't supposed to go till round 2. Actually, round 3 probably even. So some of these guys could be pretty bad. Some of them could be pretty good. You never know what happens. So there's a huge range on a lot of them. Salvador Rosales goes as well. He's another catcher. And then Gary Johnson. What a name. Could be actually really good. He could have a very good overall. Adrian Blanco at 11th overall is the first baseman to go. I'm interested to see how this draft class compares to prior drafts. Brian Santana goes 12th overall to the Orioles as a starting pitcher. All right. He was projected to go right around that spot. And Jeremy Weller going to the Reds, another starting pitcher, was projected to go more later in the first round. Tampa Bay, what are they going to take at 14? Richie Wood, who's a second baseman. So there's the first second baseman of the draft. All right. Kansas City at 15. They take Brent Sigafus. I saw that guy before. Right fielder. So that's the second right fielder to go off the board. The first one since the first overall pick in Richard White. Raul Davila, a starting pitcher going to the Mets. He was projected to go a little bit later in the first round, but not by much. The Dodgers take Marshall Cantu, a starting pitcher. He was projected to go a little bit later as well, kind of closer to our selection. Texas at 18 takes Kevin Chavez, another starting pitcher. Most of these first rounders are starting pitchers. So definitely this is a pitching heavy draft, I'd say, at that point. The Pirates at 19 take Bill Brett, who's a second baseman. So there's another second baseman off the board. The first since Richie Wood in the second of this draft class. Houston at 20 takes Maury Kane, who's a center fielder. So there's the first center fielder to go off the board. And obviously we're trying to target center fielders, so hopefully we could get that one center fielder we were looking at. Oliver Balladares, a starting pitcher, going to the Rockies. He wasn't supposed to go till around 31, so he's pretty close to where he was actually supposed to go in a sense. Paul Leonard goes at 22, another starting pitcher, supposed to go around 15th, so he might be a steal. Hard to say. He could also be a deep potential player, so that's kind of a risk. And Ben Rodriguez going as well as another starting pitcher to the Brewers. So we are going to be able to get Ichiro Ishii with the 24th overall selection, which is fantastic. He should easily sign with us too because he's got the good interest, and he looks like he's going to be a really solid player too for our team. Also, he could be a very low potential guy. Like, he might not be A potential. He could be like a B potential. But he should have a good starting overall, at least for a 19-year-old. So very excited to add Ichiro to the team. So welcome aboard to Ichiro Ishii with our 24th overall selection. So hopefully that was a good pick. Obviously, this is the latest we've ever drafted, so I hope that we actually made a good selection with that pick. Might as well see the rest of this first round as well, because there's only a few more selections left in it. So Toronto at 25 takes Henry Campaneris, another starting pitcher. Interesting. Supposed to go around 33 to 40. Then next goes Theo Thompson, starting pitcher. Yeah, literally every pick in this first round has almost been a starting pitcher. Kind of insane. Devin Thomas, another center fielder going. So definitely center field is an area of need. And I think that obviously that other guy I was looking at that's at center field has to be one of our selections coming up. Jim Ramirez, starting pitcher, going to the Yankees. Another one, of course. The Angels at 29, they take Jorge Guzman, I think it would be pronounced. He's another center fielder. And finally at 30, the Diamondbacks, what are they going to select? Luis Morales, okay. And we are back on the clock again. I guess we'll go with Charles Chan here. Yeah, we might as well go with Charles Chan here. And then my next probably interested player is maybe Yamashita, but it depends if Nakamura is still there. So we are going to go for Charles Chan and take our second starting pitcher of this draft class. So this is a prospect promotion incentive pick. We're the only one with one. So welcome aboard to Charles Chan. Hopefully he's decent as well, and that would give us two starting pitchers that are decent in this class. All right, now we can simulate to our next pick. Let's see if those guys are still all on the board. Ooh, somebody went off the board. I don't know who it was, though. Somebody went off the board here. Who was it? Lawrence Matsui. Yeah, I expected him to go a little bit earlier just because he's a high overall. But he goes at 51 to Kansas City, so unfortunately we can't get him. However, we are on the clock, and I think I'm going to go for, we are, what overall, 60th? Is this the time to take Yamashita? I think it might be because this guy's going to be more of a project player for sure. He could have a very good ceiling, no, but he doesn't look interesting to me. I'm going to take Jason Yamashita here, I think, just because he looks better to me. He could be a low potential as well, but I think he's going to be interesting as a guy that wasn't supposed to get drafted. Could be too early to take him, but I honestly just want him on the team. So welcome aboard to Jason Yamashita. Like I said, we need center fielders too, so I might as well take something that we actually need. He should be an interesting player for sure. Let's simulate to our next pick and see if Peter Nakamura is still available. He is. Somebody else went off the board, though, afterwards. I'm not too sure who. It was James Suzuki that went off. Another center fielder. Oh, man, that would have been actually good to take Suzuki probably first because we do need center fielders. Yikes. He's not as good to me as the other guy is. Yeah, he could be right around the same. And then we have our next selection at 73. Actually, Kirby Ono also went. This guy wasn't going to draft probably, but he goes off the board too. which means we're down to Nakamura, Matsui, Takahashi in the 2 Okas. So I guess Peter Nakamura will be joining this team as well, which is not really that bad because we do need more outfielding help. So Peter Nakamura, welcome aboard. Hopefully you're good. He looks like he's pretty short, which is interesting. So we'll see how tall he is once we look at his stuff. But Seattle has back-to-back picks. Lucky them. Lucky them. Okay, will all these guys still be on the board with our next selection? Yes, they are all. Okay, good. So I guess we'll probably go to Charles Matsui because we do need ourselves. We don't necessarily need another relief pitcher, but I might as well. Or I could actually go for Takahashi and just give myself some more center fielding depth. You know what? I'm going to do that. I think we need more center fielding depth. I know it might be a bit early to take this guy, but let's take Albert here and just give us some more center fielding depth because that's like an area, like I said, that kind of struggles a bit. So we'll definitely address that. Hopefully Matsui's still on the board next round, but he could end up being taken too. So let's see if he's still there. He is. All right. So we'll probably take Matsui next, and then we have the 2 Okas, which probably should both be still available. So we'll take Matsui here with his next selection. Give ourselves a relief pitcher. We'll simulate to the next round. Both Okas are still there. So Jason looks like he could be decent, but he's not going to be a high potential guy. Nori Oka looks like he could have good potential, at least like an okay potential. Yeah, I think I would rather take Nori here. He's not supposed to go to late first round. They're actually supposed to go right around the same point. So we should be able to get hypothetically both of them. So let's go with Nori first. And then we'll take Jason with the last pick if he is available. And if he's not, of course, he just went literally off the board to the White Sox. Damn. I was hoping he'd be there still. So I guess one of our selections we will not actually be able to use. Unless there's an Asian here that I missed. Is there anybody that's Asian? No, there's not. So we're going to have to just not sign whoever this last selection is. And that is going to be Jesse Marte, who's not going to get a contract from our team. He actually looks like he could be good, but obviously he's not Asian, so he will not be joining the Tropic Turtles. And he might re-enter the draft class, you never know. Alright, so that is our draft. Now we got to get these guys signed up. But first, we got the All-Star stuff. So anybody in the Home Run Derby this year for our team? Out of curiosity. No. The Rockies have 2 guys in Robert Hassel III, Xavier Isaac. Then there's also Gunnar Henderson, Tristan Casas, Danny Family. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Famiglietti. William Shin's in the draft thing. That's interesting because I think we could have drafted him at one point back in the day. Tom Wheeler and Dylan Cruz. So those are the guys in the Home Run Derby this year. And then in terms of the actual All-Star game itself, I think Yokoyama could have made it if he didn't get injured. But looks like Kazuhiro Hayashi will be your starter for the All-Star game. Looks like his ERA has gone up a little bit since we last looked, but still has yet to lose a game, which is interesting. So is there anybody else on this team that is made the All-Star game? Probably, right? So Kaz has made it as the starter, which is awesome, of course. What else we got here? Nobody else in terms of pitching. All right. What about batting? Kevin Sato has made another All-Star game. That's awesome. So Kevin Sato is the leadoff man in the All-Star game. He's a pending free agent this year. Oh, man, I don't know if we're going to be able to afford bringing him back. He's such a useful player, though, too. So I don't really like that. But what is it? He's been really good so far this season with the 16 home runs. He's been our most consistent player, I would say. 3 All-Star appearances for Kevin Sato now. What else we got here? Anybody else on the team making it? Doesn't look like it. Nope. So we only have Hayashi and him. So I think Yokoyama would have made it too, but I think that injury kept him out of it, unfortunately. So 2 All-Star representatives, not too bad. We don't need all the All-Star representatives in the roles as the NL has beaten the AL. Okay. And we should be getting close to being able to start signing our prospects here, I believe. Just got to double check here. Yokoyama's back. We'll go auto-utilize. That should throw him right back into where he was, right? Yes, it is. Okay, good. Had to double check on that because you never know with games like this. Okay, so we can start signing our draft picks. Let's get Ichiro Ishii signed up here. How much balance, competitive balance picks do we have? Our money do we have? Our bonus allotment money, that's what I mean, not competitive round bounce. $10 million, 10.6. Okay, that's not too bad. So let's try and get Ishii signed up here because obviously he's top priority and he already accepts. That's great. That's really good. Charles Chan, you do not have enough interest yet. We'll try and get your interest higher. Jason Yamashita is another guy that I really like, so let's get him signed. He declines the initial offer. That kind of sucks. Anybody else I could sign yet? Albert Takahashi, let's get you signed here. He also declines. Come on, Albert. You'd be like literally like the number 2 center fielder in our depth chart. Nori Oka, let's get you signed. Thank you. Nori has accepted. He could be absolute trash, but I don't really care. And the other guys also don't have enough interest yet, so let's get Albert's a little bit higher because he's at 50. Actually, not Albert's. Let's get the guys that are on like 40-something%. So Nakamura for sure. And we also have Matsui to get his above that. Let's go a few days and see if we can get these guys to get their interest a little higher. Okay, a loss and a win. We're 58-40, still 8 games up now on the Rangers. Yeah, we're in a really good spot still. I like it. I like it a lot. Sign draft picks. Let's try and get Ishii signed now, or actually Ishii already accepted. It was Yamashita. I wanted to get him to accept already because he looks like he could be really solid. There you go. He already accepts. Nice to see that. And then we'll try and get Albert Takahashi to accept his. Nice. There you go. All right. So Charles Chan needs to be moved back to top priority. Nakamura needs to be moved back to second priority and Matsui third. And hopefully we can get these guys to get enough interest. And I didn't want to go play in the game. I don't know why this game lags sometimes, but let's go another few days, see if we can win some more games. We lose that one. William Chung's been injured with a lower back pain, but it's only for a day or two. And then we win that other game. We're still a little bit streaky as of late, like win one, lose one, but 59-41 in our first, I guess, 100 games of the season is pretty good. We're 7 games up on the Rangers now as well. All right, so let's see. We don't have enough interest on these guys yet, but Nakamura is getting close to 50%. I hope I could sign all these dudes. Oh, no, no. Well, we are slapped with a major injury. Kevin Sato, who had made the All-Star game and is a pending free agent, has broken his ankle and is out 1 to 2 months. He will be back, I think, for the playoffs, potentially. But that is a substantial blow. He will be back for the playoffs. Yeah, he will be back, which is good. So at least that's good, but that still could hurt us a lot in the standings. So Sato is playing third base. Do we have a guy that could play on third base? Trying to think of who Nomo. Nomo, and we change somebody else to our DH. So yeah, we'll change Nomo to our third baseman. And I will move Nomo a little bit higher in the lineup, maybe? Sure, let's move Nomo higher in the lineup, even though he's been struggling. And then in terms of our DH, would I use any of these guys as a DH? I guess I could hypothetically use Takahashi as a DH. He does have good power. His vision discipline's good. His clutch is good. Yeah, I think we'll put Takahashi in as the DH option. So I think that's what I will lean towards doing. Just so we have guys in their actual positions and stuff like that. So we'll go something like that for the rest of this up until Sato is back. Because that is a pretty bad injury. Why did I have to jinx it and talk about injuries at the beginning of the season? I swear every year we get bad injuries like that. Like at least his season's not done. Like that would have been a lot worse. Where do I go to take a look at the injuries again? Ah, yes, right here. So yeah, Kevin Sato broke his ankle. Yeah, that's very tragic. He had 17 home runs, was batting at .299. Wow. Yeah, that's unfortunate. He is already 32 years old too, so he's getting closer to the end of his career. Tom Koo should be back within the next few weeks, which is going to be helping us a little bit in terms of our pitching at least. Hey, there's another win. Nice. We actually did win another game still without him. 61-41. Love to see it. Charles Chan doesn't have enough interest yet. Nakamura does. Can he sign? He does not sign yet. We'll keep all those guys there just to try and get those interests as high as possible. because I do not want to not have prospects sign with us, because that would not be great. 2 more wins. Damn, we've won 5 games in a row. We're still winning a lot of games, even without Sato in the lineup, so that's very promising. That is very promising. So Charles Chan, we need to get you to accept, because you were a high-up pick, and you do not accept that initial offer. Nakamura also declines. Come on, boys. We only have 6 days left, and I need you to accept those contracts, because if you do not, I will be mad. And there's a loss to end our winning streak, and then we do beat the Yankees in the other one. All right. So we're on a little bit of a good stretch here as of late. Charles Chan does not accept that offer either. Geez, we're coming down to the wire with those guys. Nakamura also rejecting. Why are these guys being problematic here? I need to sign all my picks here. I have not had any problems with signing my picks before this, so. Charles Chan, come on, please. Let me go up to full. There you go, 64%. He accepts. Nakamura. He also accepts. Perfect. And then that just leaves Charles Matsui, who doesn't have 50% interest yet. So he might be one of those guys that reject unless we get him to accept on the last day, which he could potentially. Let's see. Sim third date. Walter Choi, auto on that. Kevin Sato, auto on that because he's not back yet. And we still have to just try and sign Matsui here. He's got 50% interest, and that's the most we can offer him. So will he accept this contract, or will he be one of those unlikely prospects that decide not to sign with us? He does sign with us. Okay, good. So we just barely managed to get all our prospects we want. Obviously, Jesse Marte is a guy I can't sign. So there you go. We managed to get our entire class that we wanted, which is great. Let's advance one more day, and then we can take a look at how good they are. Looks like AAA needs to be addressed first, though. AAA. Ah, yes. What do they need in their lineup? Looks like a center fielder, I think. So we'll get Philip Nishi in that spot, I guess, for the time being, since he actually plays that position. So there you go. And let's get back to simulating this one game. There we go, 11-9 win. And we are 66-44 to end this episode, which is great. We are now on a 600 win percentage, so we have improved in this episode in terms of winning games. Now comes the fun part. What is our draft class looking like? What is the other teams looking like in this draft as well? And then also, how good has our team been at this point? Let's take a look at some of our picks here. And Ichiro Ishii was a great steal. Doesn't have A potential, which kind of sucks, but B potential and being a 66 at 19 is great. So that's a really good first pick, especially for as late as it was, 24th overall. I like that selection a lot. His hits per 9 and his strikeouts per 9, not the best, but he has very good walks per 9. So maybe he's more utilized as a reliever in a sense in the future, but pitching clutch, not too great. So obviously he needs to work a little bit on some stuff like that, but he's got a really good arm. Great accuracy, but his fielding isn't super good. Good velocity, or solid velocity and control, but a even better break to his ball. Okay, I don't mind that. Looks like he's going to be decent. So really solid pick for Ichiro Ishii. The question is Charles Chan good? Yeah, he's okay too. He is a little bit more of a project player. Does have B potential, so at least he's not C or D potential, but he's got a low overall at 18, but he does have the potential to become a guy in our rotation down the road. He's also a little bit of a work in progress in a lot of things, but he does have very good velocity and break at this point. So he's looking decent. So I'd say 2 for 2 in terms of our picks. The question is our next selection going to be good? Because that is the next one was the center fielder that was projected to go undrafted, I think. Yep, and he's looking interesting. He's looking very interesting. He only has the C potential, but he's a 68 at 18, which is absolutely fantastic. Like, we needed center fielders for the future because we didn't have a center fielder. Well, Jason Yamashita is that guy. He is that guy. Really good contact against right-handed pitchers. No power at all to his game. Has okay contact against lefties. Very good vision. Not so much discipline. Very good clutch as well. And then his fielding numbers look pretty balanced. He also has good speed and stealing too. So this guy is all around a really solid player. So I like that a lot. I think that might be one of my favorite selections of this draft class, because I think he could easily outgrow that C potential. Like at the minor league level with good contact like that and vision, I think he should be able to get himself into the B potential range, maybe even higher than that. Like maybe this guy's the future Tom Lee, but at center field instead. So I like that selection. Our next pick, Peter Nakamura, B potential, 51 at 18, so a little bit low, obviously of an overall, but he also does have potential to become something decent as I was expecting. Gives us also more outfielding depth, so I like this pick a lot too. And I think we're doing really good so far for where we were drafting, because obviously this is our first time picking as late as we were, and we still managed to get really good picks with all our selections so far. Now it's going to be a little bit off the board in terms of how good these guys are, though, coming up. So our next selection, Albert Takahashi, only C potential, so not the highest potential in the world, but 53 at 18, he's kind of useful still. It doesn't look like he's going to be that great of a hitter, but he looks like he could be like an okay defensive center fielder if he ends up making it. His arm and fielding is like kind of average. His accuracy is good. His reaction's really good. So I think I could develop him into being a defensive center fielder with not a lot of offense. So I think that's not a bad pick, but obviously he's definitely our worst so far. Our next selection, Charles Matsui, that's not too bad either. 58 at 19 is a good starting overall. Only C potential, but he should be a useful relief pitcher down the road. His hits per nine is good. His home runs per nine is good. Velocity is fantastic. His break is good too. Yeah, good arm as well. Yeah, he looks like he's going to be a solid reliever. He also has good stamina too, so he could be a good long reliever, which is something that we could obviously use if we lose like Walter Jung down the road. And then Norioka is a low overall for a 21-year-old. Does have an okay potential at least, so he's not a D potential, but he's probably not going to make it. He could also play in the outfield, which is kind of interesting. But he's definitely the worst of the bunch, but he wasn't really supposed to almost even get drafted, so I don't blame him for not being that good. But in general, I'd say that might have been one of our best drafts in terms of not getting a bad player. Ichiro Ishii has an 89 potential, so he just missed out on being an A potential prospect, so that's an absolutely great one. Charles Chan has 81 potential. Yamashita's got 78, but obviously he could outgrow that. Nakamura with the 85 potential. Takahashi 77 potential. Matsui 78 potential. And Oka has 74. And obviously we didn't sign that Marte, guys. But in general, I'd say that's one of our best looking draft classes because no really bad picks. Maybe you could say Oka's a bad pick, but he honestly was pretty much as we were expecting. So very good draft for where we were drafting, and all those guys were also relatively young. Oka was the oldest of the bunch. In terms of the other teams, what did the other teams draft this year? Was there any good steals for them? Gary Fiedler, pretty good. I mean, he is 74 at 23, so it's a good starting overall considering he's as old as he is, but obviously it's going to take him a while to reach that 95 probably still, but that's a really good one. Ryan Blum's also a good first-round pick. Then we head to Texas. Manuel Ayala. He looks like he's going to be good down the road. More of a project, though. Atlanta. Juan Del Villar, who will look like he was a major reach a little bit. He was not supposed to go to like round 3. He was actually pretty good, too. 62 at 19, 89 potential. Ryan Benjamin is not good for a first-round talent at all. Looks like the Marlins had a bad draft. Kirby Ono did not even get signed by them, which is unfortunate because he could have been a guy that we eventually drafted if we really wanted to, but I don't blame them for not signing him because he could be a D potential guy. The Mets. I mean, that's an okay pick with Davila, but it's not insane. Philadelphia, Jonathan Quintana, who was, oh my goodness, I just realized his overall. God damn. This guy was a second overall pick. Like I said, he could be a lower potential, but a high overall. This guy is an 88 out of the draft, but he's only got 86 potential. I don't think I've ever seen a guy that high of an overall out of the draft class. That is ridiculous. What the heck? Like, this guy's already like an ace in the MLB almost. Like, he's one of the best pitchers in the league already in terms of overall rating, I'd say. Like, he's probably like top 20 or something like that at least. Wow. And then Federico Nava is also a solid steal there for another starting pitcher for them. So, yeah, wow. Quintana, big props to the Phillies for taking him as high as they did. Now, I'm curious on what the guy that won first overall looks like, because if Quintana's that good, The other guys might be really good too. Devin Thomas for the Nationals, solid pick at center field. The Cubs, Theo Thompson is actually pretty good too. 69 and 18 with 87 potential. Yeah, this first round actually looked like it was pretty good. Jeremy Weller, I mean, he's got a good starting overall for an 18-year-old, but he doesn't have a high ceiling, but he'll still be a useful pitcher for the Reds. The Brewers, they did not have a good draft. James Suzuki, who we were looking at, is okay. He's a low overall for a 21-year-old, but he does have B potential, so it's unfortunate we didn't draft him as well, but he's looking okay. What else we got here? Bill Brett isn't really... Actually, he's pretty decent. 69 and 18 with 81 potential. He's going to be useful. Ozzy Acosta, though, that's a great steal. 70 at 20 with 89 potential as a closer. Nice little steal there for the Pirates. They also had some other good picks with, like, Darren Hoffman. Not the old Asian Darren Hoffman, but a different one. The Cardinals. Gary Johnson, I mean, he's got a good starting overall, but he's got no potential. So that's unfortunate for Gary. Some other okay steals, it looks like, in terms of potential. The Diamondbacks did not sign Luis Morales. He was the last pick in the first round, so I don't know how good he was. Cliff Terry's pretty good. 76 at 21 with 86 potential. Some okay closers in this draft, it looked like. And then John Ritchie's a little solid steal there. He's more of a project, but still has good potential. The Rockies, Oliver Baladeras. Yeah, he's okay. Not as good as some of the other pitchers we've seen in the first round, though. The Dodgers, Marshall Cantu, that's a good one. 71 and 18 with 85 potential. That will be useful for them for sure. Guess he could definitely be like a middle-of-the-pack pitcher. The Padres, Richard White, who went first overall, was not as good, obviously, overall-wise as Quintana. He does have better potential, but 79 at 21, 90 potential. He's still going to be a really good player. Really good contact hitter. He's pretty balanced in terms of his offensive abilities. Very good clutch. Yeah, he's going to be very balanced. So that's a good pick there for the Padres. But obviously, that pitcher that's being an 88 overall, going second overall, is absolutely insane still. And I don't think I'll get over that because I don't think I've ever seen a player that high out of the draft before. Like, that's pretty insane, getting an ace right away. The Giants, Desmond Thompson, not very good. Maurice Fakua, 70 at 20, 91 potential, another good closer. And then Clark Anderson's an okay project as well. The Orioles, Brian Santana is pretty solid. I mean, 65 at 21, maybe a little low overall-wise, but he does have 88 potential. So there is that. Boston with Dominic Ingram, that's okay because he's got a good starting overall. Terrell Napier. It's also a really good steal. Dante Whitey has high ceiling, a little bit of a low overall for a 21-year-old, but he should be really good too as a reliever, especially a reliever with a 95 potential. That's kind of nuts. And then Rodrigo Tejada is not bad either. So a good draft for the Red Sox. The Yankees had one of the worst drafts of this entire draft. Ramirez is a 75 with only 60 potential, so he's a good starting overall, but he obviously doesn't have the potential to be even better than he is, so that's unfortunate for him. Aside from that, they did not really get much. Like, they also got this guy that's his potential is worse than his overall, but yeah, they had a little bit of a tough time. Tampa Bay, Richie Wood, solid overall start, not a super high ceiling, but he's going to be useful. Same goes with Corey Erickson as well. Same with Carmen Aparicio. Yeah, Aparicio. Tyson Nicholson's got good potential. Yeah, it looks like Tampa had a good draft. Toronto, Henry Campaneris is really good. 68 at 18, 89 potential, so a good first round pick there for the Blue Jays. David McGaffick is a solid project player. And then you have the White Sox, who didn't have the best draft. I mean, Henry Roberson's a good overall for a 19-year-old, but not a high ceiling, obviously. Yeah, it looks like they had a kind of an okay draft. Jason Oka, who we were looking at, was a 65 at 21. Damn, if only I would have taken Jason Oka instead of the other Oka. That's probably my biggest regret now in this draft class, is I took the wrong Oka. Because Jason Oka ends up being the much better one of the two. Good starting overall with some okay potential. Alright. And then we have the Guardians. Leonard, I mean, is okay. Yeah, some of these teams had some rough drafts, but other teams killed it. Detroit, Rosales ain't that great, to be honest, but he's okay. Kansas City with Sigafus, he's going to be solid. Chris Hayes also okay-ish, but he's a little bit low overall-wise. Lawrence Matsui, we're looking at 64 at 21 with a 79 potential. So he's going to be a useful player still for Kansas City, but yeah, he's not bad. I wouldn't have mind drafting him, but at the same time, I think we made some okay selections around that point. So didn't really hurt me too much, because obviously I would prefer that guy that we got. That was a 68 instead. The Twins. Adrian Blanco, looking solid. Yeah, that's pretty much that. And then you got Houston. They did not sign their first round center fielder, Maury Kane. So that's interesting. Pablo Cabrera was their next selection. Their best pick was Nate Dunlap, who is a 21-year-old, 52 overall only, but he does have a high ceiling. And then you also have the Angels, who are in our division. Jorge Guzman. It's not bad, but their good steal was Fernando Cortez. And then there's our selections. So I think we had a really good draft. Obviously, we didn't probably have the best draft, because I'd say that's probably the Phillies, because they got that ace right out of the draft. But in general, I'd say we had one of the better drafts out there, because we didn't have any like super bad picks. So I like that. Final few things to do to wrap up this episode, because we're approaching almost like an hour into recording potentially. Let's take a quick look at our MLB player stats in an update. Parker Iwamura is getting better as the season's going on, because he was over a 3 ERA. Now he's below a 3. Stan has gone a little bit worse, I think, but he's still been good. Kazuhito Ayashi still has yet to lose a game. Holy freaking Christ, man. This guy's cracked. He's 16-0 now. His ERA has gone up, but his whip is still below 1. Absolutely insane. Vincent Tan looks like he's improving, I think, a bit. Irabu's still not doing too well. And in the bullpen, looks like kind of like the same type of story as we were just seeing before. Yeah, not bad. All right. And in terms of our batting, what about that? Yamazaki's still batting at 296, so Yamazaki's having a resurgence this year. I like that. Yokoyama just came back from injury, but he's on a 293. Nomo on a 230. Tom Lee on a 304. Theodore Lee on a 276. Sasaki on a 276. Hideki Takahashi hasn't been super good. He hasn't been super good. 217. But he's that option that's in our lineup just because... Why was he in our lineup? I'm trying to think of why he was in our lineup. Who is it that's injured that's a third baseman? Actually, was there anybody else that was supposed to be in the lineup? I don't remember what happened. Anyways. Oh, yeah. Sato being out. Sato's out. Yeah, that's who it is. Oka on a 302. Seo on a 247. All right. And then William Abike went down to a 201 after he was in the lineup for a little bit. William Chung's still doing fantastic off the bench. 297. So he's been great. Taguchi on a 202 hasn't been super good. But in general, I'm really liking a lot of the looks of our stats. Like, in terms of, like, team rankings, where are we in terms of a lot of our stats at the moment? Standings, obviously, we're first place in the division. We've scored the most runs and have allowed the least amount. So, that's promising. But I wanted to take a look at team rankings here briefly. We are the 4th best team in the entire league. Right now, the Twins are leading in batting average. But in terms of wins percentage, we are the best team in baseball now. Milwaukee is below us. Dodgers as well, Miami, and Cardinals, okay? So we're number 4 in batting average, which is great. Shows our offense is definitely improving. We're also up there at home runs. What about ERA? ERA, we are currently 5th. Yeah, everything's looking pretty promising in terms of offense and pitching. I like that a lot. Let me actually take a look at award leaders as well while we're at it. So right now still, yeah, Kaz is obviously up there for Cy Young, and that's the only thing we're really up there for in terms of awards. That's okay. I also do want to take a look at the Player of the Month stuff right now. So in June, Tom Lee was the Player of the Month. He batted a 460 in that month. In May, Tom Koo was the Pitcher of the Month before he got injured. He was fantastic. And in April, Kazuhiro Hayashi was absolutely insane during that month of April. So we did have a couple players of the month, which is awesome. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Tokyo Tropic Turtles Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will simulate the rest of the season. We should be easily playoff bound unless we fall off an absolute cliff. I'm very excited. I think this team has what it takes to win a World Series this year. Just because obviously last year we weren't really getting that contact hitting. We are now into the top 10 in contact. And we are also up there in like batting average and all that. So I think our offensive game has definitely come a long way since last year, and our pitching game is just as good as it was last year too. So now we kind of have a best of both worlds, and I think that we could put it together, and I think that this team should be able to go for a good run this year. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.